And it is Friday, May the 22nd. I'm so glad I've got a calendar in front of me. I would be losing track of where we are in the month. But I do know a week from Sunday, we're heading back to church for those of you that feel comfortable in coming. I know I've already heard from several of you saying that due to underlying health conditions, other concerns that you have, that you will not be back. Perfectly fine. We understand that completely. We ask for your continued support prayerfully and financially. If you're not able to be there, we're going to do our best to share with you what we're doing. It may take us a couple of weeks to kind of get it straight, but hang in there with us and we'll see what we can do to do our best for you during this time. We will try to have, maybe even this week or when we get back, have some masks handy in case you forget yours. We are asking, we'd ask you to please to follow through, especially during this first 5 weeks as we get through the month of June, that you would bring and wear your mask. If we wear a mask during singing, it all depends on how many are there and where we're seated. Singing carries a little more of a danger of communication. We understand that. But we'll see how that goes. But certainly as you come and as you're in the group, we would ask you to come with your mask and wear it into the service. If you forget it, we will try our best to have one for you all ready to go. We'll also have a hand sanitizer there. We'll have wiped down things before you've gotten there. And after you leave, we will do the same thing. So this is a brave new world that we're entering, and we want to do our best to make it a good experience for you as we get there. Next week, during the week, of course, I'll have a sermon on Sunday. Next week, taking Monday off. It's a holiday. I'm going to take a day off and not do any video, any kind of things like that. We'll do some videos next week, but I'm not sure we'll have something every day. So kind of ramping up. It's going to be a different week. We'll be in the office, out of the office, getting things prepared, making sure we're in good shape. So going to be a little more different kind of schedule next week as we deal with that. So keep up. If I have something, I will make sure you see it on Facebook, or I'll have it on our webpage so that you'll be aware of it. But again, just want to remind you, week from Sunday, 10:30, no Sunday school, no child care. We should have plenty of space for the people that would be coming to service. If for some reason we do not, we will make adjustments on the fly. But that would be a great problem. That would be a great problem, but I don't see that happening. One bit of news to share with you. Got a text from Robin this morning. Her sister around Knoxville, Dottie Kay, passed away this morning. So I know you would want to be aware of that and pray for them. It's been an extended period of sickness. It was not related, as far as I know, I'm quite certain, to the virus. She had a number of multiple problems in these last times. So praying for Robin. However, what will be an issue is the burial, all those kinds of things. And some of you have gone through that, and you know what I'm talking about. So those kinds of circumstances will make it difficult. Plus, her sister that's in Texas, they have had some health issues. Hector, her brother-in-law, has had chemo and some other things so you want to be aware of that. I don't think he's had chemo, but he's had a lot of health issues, and so has her sister. But if you'll be remembering them as they try to figure these things out, and that there would just be some guidance and some peace during this time as well. Well, we're going to get to the last part of chapter 8, finish it out this morning. This undoubtedly is in the top 3 of my places in Scripture. It is climbing the mountain. And as we get to verse, 31 to the end, we are at the peak. We are at the peak of the mountain. Never been a mountain climber. I've got on top of some things in the Smokies. I don't consider that mountain climbing. But when you get to the top of a large hill, especially a mountain, what do you see? You see everything. You see where you've come from. You see everything that's around you, and you look out in the distance, and if you had an eagle's eye, you would see as far as the eye could see. You stand at the height. I think it's one of the things, one of the passions of these climbers of Mount Everest, risking life and limb to get to the top and experience that one-of-a-kind view of Mount Olympus, or Mount Everest rather, as they are able to see around them, and it makes the climb feel it was worth the effort. As we get to this last part, I want you to listen to what Paul has to say. And it is your climb as well. Whether you recognize it or not, you are in a climb. You're heading up a mountain. It's called life. And it's hard, isn't it? Right now it's very hard for all of us. But for many of you, like Robin's family and the Morales family and Herman's family and others that are going through it, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. And it's a climb at times we just don't feel we have the energy or strength or willpower to finish our climb. But every one of us will be asked to climb that climb. You got to walk that lonesome valley. You got to walk it how? By yourself. No one else will walk it with you. That's not true. It's a nice song. It's not true. It is absolutely wrong. This climb that you're making, there are times that you feel you're absolutely doing it with the amount of strength that you have, and that's it. It's not true. Number one, you've got other loved ones who are cheering you on, praying for you, and willing to walk with you if they can. You also have a cloud of witnesses of those who have gone on before. And Hebrews says it's a cloud of witnesses that are cheering us on. Come on, come on, come on, we made it. You can too. But more than that, we have the Spirit of God. If you're a believer, that is renewing your life daily. Paul says, in my outer life, I'm wasting away, but in my inner life, I'm being renewed every single day. As we get these last verses, and you're making that final climb, and you are, whether it is within weeks or months, years, or even decades, there is a final climb for all of us. A final. The ambition is, the hope is, that as we make the climb, and it's hard, it's absolutely breathtaking at times, literally. We also know who goes with us, strengthens us, and as we approach that final climb, and we see the great vistas of life, where we've been, who's been with us, what we have yet to see around us and would love to be a part of, we smile. We experience joy one last time. And that's what Paul's talking about. Let's read it instead of me just talking about it, okay? What then are we to say about these things? What are we to say about this climb? What do we say about the struggles that we have and about being loved and justified and sanctified and glorified, justified? Here's what he says. Man, you need to put this down on your climb. If God is for us, who can be against us? Look, if the leader and the one who is surrounding you in your climb is God himself, the Spirit and the Son, They're lifting you, they're urging you, they're pulling you, they're strengthening you. If He is with you on your climb, then what can be against us? How do we know this? Oh, this is great. He did not even spare His own Son, but offered Him up for us all. How will He not also with Him grant us everything? The evidence is already clear. We've seen it in the valley before we started the climb, that on that first hill was conquered death and payment of sin through the life of the Son. He's offered it. That's the quality of love that the Father has on your behalf. Therefore, that is everything that God has. Everything in the relationship with the Son. And if He is willing to risk that on your behalf and give you that for you, will He? Does it make logical sense that He would withhold things from you that you need? Now, what we have to do, we have to adjust our needs sometimes. Because what we need is what God is not saying that you need. Everything that is given to us is needy. Everything that is withheld is not something that is needy. You believe that? You trust that? Is God with you? That's what Paul's saying. So what's Paul saying now? Who can bring an accusation against God's elect? Who is the accuser? It is our enemy, Satan. Is he accusing you on your trip up? You bet he is. You can't make it. This is too hard. You slipped. Remember that last time you fell down the hill? You're not going to make it again. You're not going to do it. You're not good enough. You're not strong enough. You're not. He says, don't listen to him. You cannot listen to the enemy. Why? Because who is the one who condemns? Christ Jesus is the one who died, but even more has been raised. And He is at the right hand of God, interceding for us. Guess what? When every accusation that Satan makes against us, Jesus is making an argument for us. And what is He saying? If I died for them and my blood has covered their sin, then you cannot hold them and condemn them, because that would be an unjust thing, and you are not an unjust God. He is ever, let me say it one more time, He's ever interceding for us. Therefore, if that's the case, here it is, guys. Here's the verse. Who can separate us from the love of God? Who can do it? Or what can do it? What circumstances can do it? I got to tell you, folks, you're just about at the top of the hill on this one. And when your spirits are flagging and you feel like a failure and you don't know what the next circumstance is going to bring, and you're hurting and you're struggling and you're questioning, you need to listen to that question. Who can separate us? What can separate us from the love of God? And then he starts to enumerate. Can affliction? Sure it can. But not ultimately. It can hurt us. Can affliction hurt? But no. Or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or danger or sword? The things that I experience in this life that harm me, that hurt me, that give me pain? Sure it can, but it doesn't. He said, as it's written, now this is the truth. Paul's saying, listen guys, we face danger every day of our life. This is not talking in theory. This is talking about real life situations, because he says, because of you we are put to death all day long. We're counted as sheep to be slaughtered. He said, that's who we are. We are facing affliction, distress, persecution, famine, nakedness, danger, sword. We're doing it all. It's happening right now, Paul says. But even though it's the truth, there's a deeper truth. And that is the truth that if God is for you, who can be against you? That Christ gave His life for you, and therefore His love will not be separated from you. Knowing all these things, We are more than conquerors through Him. Who is Him? Jesus. God who loved us. Don't feel like a conqueror today? Can I be honest with you? Most days I don't feel like a conqueror. I feel like a failure. Don't you? Come on, be honest with me now. If you're not, check your humble status at this point, okay? If you feel like a conqueror every day, then you haven't faced danger and sword and famine and persecution and also the condemnation that we impose upon ourselves. We do. That's who we are. Every day we're facing it. We're sheep like before the slaughter. But what did he say? Think. Put it together. Come on, guys. That's not true. And that's where you fight. And that's where you say, wait a second. The impulses that I'm experiencing right now are not logical conclusions of a truth. They're emotional outriggings of something that is moving in the wrong direction. Don't let it happen. Stop. Think. That's what Paul's saying. Let me tell you truth. Because you anchor into truth. You don't anchor into fancy. You don't anchor into something that is unproven. You don't anchor into something that you hope will one day work out. You anchor in the truth. Sorry to get excited, guys, but wow. This is so good. Because he's not done yet. He said, because of the truth, I am persuaded. Do you hear that? I am persuaded. That means I've been in the midst of an argument. I've been looking at truth. I've tried to weigh out. I've come down to a conclusion. And the conclusion is, without a doubt, the absolute correct conclusion. Therefore, I'm going to rest my case on this. And he says, I'm persuaded. I am persuaded. Everything moves me in this direction. It's also an emotional thing. It's not just a logical thing. But man, when you talk about persuaded, you're willing to risk it all. I am persuaded. And this is a great list, guys. Neither death nor life. See, sometimes we can face death and say, it's okay. But it's a lot harder to face life sometimes in its inequalities, in its difficulties, in its question marks. It's harder to face life than death sometimes, right? He says, in death, in life, angels, nor rulers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor powers, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature will be able to separate us from the love of God that's in Christ Jesus. There you go. Got the whole thing. The whole thing is in the fact that I'm persuaded of who He is. Wow. I want you to go through this verse 31 to the end of the chapter. You just need to read it. Maybe read it every day. You know what I need to do is what I'm going to try to do. I need to memorize this thing. I kind of got it halfway there, but not enough. Because I forget stuff. In fact, my lovely wife just came in and gave me a talking the truth. I goofed up. Can you believe it? I made a mistake. I did. We've talked in the office with Robin so many times about Dottie Kay. I was thinking it was her sister. It's her cousin who is closer than a sister. I mean, that's kind of the way that it is. So, Robin, forgive me for messing up there. You may get some calls talking about your sister, but it's her cousin, but she's like a sister. So, I just want you to be aware of that. Friends, this whole chapter, and as we get to the very peak of the mountain of this chapter, it's Mount Everest of the Bible. It really is. Breathe rarefied air. Breathe eternal breath. You got to come down from the mountain, don't you? And that's okay, because you've been to the mountain and you've seen the loveliness of God, the faithfulness, the sacrifice, the glory, the hope that is ours in Jesus Christ. It's great stuff. Till Sunday, I'll be seeing you. Bye-bye.